introduce themselves, like their name, what they do, their designation, and why do they have to do what they are doing. So please welcome. Maybe I'll start from far end. Let me be biased for today, please.
Good morning, everyone. Hope you had a great breakfast. My name is Esther Kitumaini. I think it was written wrongly on the paper, but it's Esther Kitumaini. I am a Congolese by nationality, but I found a home away from home in the Pearl of Africa, Uganda. I've been there for 12 years now. Yes. It's now my home. I now look Ugandan, speak the language. What I do, I am a passionate Montessori teacher. For those who don't know Montessori teaching, it's the play-based methodology of teaching children, where we just don't talk to children, but we engage children in the learning process. I work with the Book Drive store, and what we do mainly in the Book Drive store, we are here to disrupt the Disney. We are here to bring back the magic to learning for our children and the younger ones who are coming. And if I can, for the animal, I like to be a dolphin. Yeah, it lives in water, but the special thing about the dolphin is that it easily connects and bonds to the young ones of it. And since I am very passionate about children, and whenever I see little humans running around, I feel like, yeah, they are the future ones. So I feel I like to be a dolphin. Mainly, that is what I do. And professionally, I am a public health practitioner. Yeah, but I found passion in teaching kids. So the other side, I'm more of health things, but here I'm like, yeah, I could be the good teacher for these kids. Yeah, thank you.
It's really nice to be with you today. Mganuzi Mshongole Adonis, the founder, executive director of Yaren organization. When I look at everyone here, I'm seeing a crowd of people behind everyone, which means there is much to say here. As I present myself, I would start with the animal, because if I'm going to say a little bit of what I do, I would start with that presentation. If I would be an animal, I would be a cow. Why? Because all of us here, we have taken something from it right now. And if you see how the cow is treated, you can't deserve it. Everyone can beat it. As a leader, there is a lot you undergo. As I present myself, allow me to start with this quote from Mahatma Gandhi. He said that if you want to see the change in your community, be the change that you want. As I said, I'm the founder executive director of Yaren. We have been empowering fellow refugees, women, youth, in spirit of entrepreneurship. But out of that, we have been advocating for the safe access of safe and clean drinking water of the refugees in Uganda. By profession and public health, I've done a lot when it comes to scaling, but I would say something. It happened to me to be on the panel with the Ayanis team leader in different competitions with him. But I would like to say something on this end. We are talking about art, and when we talk about art, I see much of us and what we do. Ayan has inspired me a lot as I present myself, because that is how I met Mr. Simon, and we shared a lot of the panels. And sometimes you are on the panel with somebody, you become a fan of somebody. Have you ever realized that? Yeah. So Simon is somebody that you are together on the panel, you start learning, you are getting inspired. So I wish that also as I conclude my presentation that Aluta continue the change we want in the refugee settings. We are the one today here because we are the young leaders who are trying to make that impact. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I goes by the name Paul Onen Olelo, youth representative from Dadaab refugee camp. I'm a Ugandan by nationality, but I've stayed for over 23 years in Dadaab refugee camp, meaning that I was born in Dadaab refugee camp. And it's my first time also to step into Nairobi. And I'm so excited also to be meeting with you with new faces. When it comes to also flight, it was my first time. But for the flight, it's not something new for me because I was always flying through the phone. I used to use my phone. I use my phone, you know, there's that Google Earth. So I just always, the place I know I will not visit, or I may not get a chance to be in that place, I'll just Google it, and then the Zoom will now take me, and then I will be like, oh, I'm flying on now, like an airplane on top. Then finally, and you know, mostly when I'm at home, I always have that hope, like when I see airplanes and those things, I always like doing it like this. And then I said, one day it will be my turn. Just do it like this. And then finally, I saw myself inside that plane now. And I'm so happy for that. Yeah, thank you. So when it comes to professionality, I'm a teacher, a lab technician. I work in a certain private school called Gede Secondary. I work as a lab technician. I'm just, after my graduation, you know, I was being, it's due to my loyalty and the honesty and the supports I've been assisting with the school. The school decided that since there is no job outside, it may be hard for you. Let me give you something at least you can do as you wait for your university. So I was given that lab technician work. So that's what I'm trying to do as I support my family and I wait for if the opportunity comes, and then I will take over. And also, I also do music, and I will talk deep about music in the session as we proceed. So that is it for now. Thank you.
And it's an amazing experience inside the work you do. It's impacting many refugees. And I want to thank Ayan again for giving such Paul and others the opportunity to come to another place, to include other refugees, at least to connect with other refugees. You did such a great job, Simon, the team, thank you very much. I will take you through the session today. The session will focus on the current state of refugee in art, creative space, as well as the changes needed to better include refugees in humanitarian advocacy level in arts and creative space. So, So we have, I'm sorry by the name, we have Magunizi. Actually, please, what the changes are needed in the humanitarian space to include refugee young in arts and creative industry?
For the question, I've been, when I received the agenda, I tried to think a little bit about what are really the changes that we need in the refugees. Assets as settlements, we have urban refugees and people in the road. I happen to be in different occasions. I am the alumni of East Africa community. I happen to be in different opportunities. But what I would say, today the change that is needed within the refugee assets, I would say one, according to what I don't need it to take time, but I would like to, you allow me to take just a little. One of the things that I needed is to bring into the value of the work of the refugees. How? Because refugees are trying to do work that has never been accepted. Because the story around refugee work has been bad narrated. It is like refugees, they are only complainers. But today we are showing that we are proactive. And second is that we need to see that refugees are involved, not getting involved in the policy making, but involved into the work they are doing. Avoid tokenism. Because tokenism has been one of the ways that has destroyed us. You don't speak what you think is or are solutions for your community, but you speak because the commandant has said. And this is very bad. One of the things is that freedom that refugees should be allowed to do meaningfully as they want to do the work for their communities. And another way is like 3 points, as I see you taking your mic. I would say that one of the other things that we need to have our voice heard is that we refugees sometimes we don't do what is in the lines of the policies. And this is one of the complaints that making those donors and entrepreneurs as well, humanitarians supporting us. It's like the policies are there, but for us, we are doing things which are not in correlation with those policies, which I request that we should go and learn a lot, like the global refugee framework, read all the material, and the work we do should be in line with all those aspects so that we may really fit their conditions and what they have been accusing us. If we don't do that, they will still accusing us. Thank you.
Amazing. Actually, he has highlighted important and suggestion and insights like meaningful participation in a deeper level on the decision-making table, like to avoid tokenism. Most of the INGOs or NGOs, they don't include the refugees' voices inside the decision-making table. It's a good and highlight. Thank you for that. My question goes to Paul. How do you use music as a tool for comfort, relaxation? Please share your personal story.
Thank you once. All right, let me make it like this. I started discovering my passion on music during the COVID-19. You know, when COVID outbreak started, people were restricted not to move, you know, to stay home. And then you find yourself started being isolated, and then you have no one like friends to talk with. Not beside that, also those effects of like those wars that have been happening around those the eastern sides, you know, those massive killings. So I've been observing those things, and then I've been observing the innocent children, the way they are dying. Some are being left orphans, and the suffering that they are going through. So I started feeling sympathy to them, and also the side of both the COVID and both those side of the human, the way people are being killed. They started making me feel like this thing have to be addressed. And then what can I find? What should I do so at least I make these people's voice to be heard? So I used to create some small lyrics whereby I just write them and then sing them, start humor like that. Even you know, in the Bible there's some songs that Solomon's two songs. Then I said, okay, if I can sing now, what I'm lacking is the beat. What can I do? I started doing some research on maybe, you know, in our local there were no those producers. So I said, if there's no producer they're there and it's expensive, I cannot handle it. So is there another way that I can find a way I can make a beat so that I connect with my lyrics and then form a song? Then I started with one app where I found it's called Add Voice to Music, but it was at some point it was not matching well. It had some challenges using my phone. This one is I just updated it. There was another one. It was Hot 5. That is the first phone I started using. So add voice to music. So I created the song, the lyrics, and then I start adding the voice. I connect my earphone on it, and then sing as I add the voice on top. but the music was not really, there are some echoes and those things. It was not effective, not professionally. Then I was like, no, if this one is not working, what can I do? Then as I continued doing my researches, I came across another app called BandLab. Then there again, I started now, in BandLab, they provide beats, how to create a beats, and then also you can have the option of uploading a beat and then add the voice on top. So I started with creating a beat, but I had no idea about how to create a beat. So that was another challenge. I said, if I cannot create a beat now, let me move to what about uploading the beat. So I uploaded the beat, and then I started creating them. And then as I started creating them now, the song became so sweet, and then I started sharing with my friends. The friends, they started encouraging me, said, this is a good song. Now, what you do, just, you can even start, make it to go, to diverse audience. But now as I started uploading them on YouTube again, there's a copyright restriction there. You cannot move from that point. So those challenges now, and they started restricting me, so I cannot proceed from the stage 1 to the largest stage, where by now I can start making the professional, where everything is owned by me. So it became hard, but I didn't give up. I said, okay, if YouTube is not going to, it's not going to be possible for me to upload the videos on YouTube. So I said, now what I do is I will create the songs, and then I share with my friend on the WhatsApps, and then maybe on Facebook. That place, there's the restriction is a little bit, even if it's tough, but it's less. So I could have shared some of the songs that I've been making it. I don't know if I can have that just later on, yeah. So that is how I started finding passion on how to make music. But also there are my fellow colleagues there, in the camps, who also have that passion, but not for them. It's like they also have that challenge. Where can they, if they want to sing? There's no one who's supposed to, is there to support them. Like, we need to provide you with the resources that providing the resources that they require, so that they can create just the way I was singing. I was amazed when I saw people here having their own guitars, and I was like, hey, we are too back with this thing. Imagine people, someone say, I'm honing this organization. I was, for us, those kind of things, we just see them, but when it comes to support, we are totally not being given. We have that youth there. There are a lot of people with talents. If you want to know that they have talents, during the refugee times, you'll find them a lot. Those dance groups are there, those who can sing, a lot of talents, but now, in reality, they have no support. You have your talent, but the talent, you wander around with it in the camps, and then you end up becoming all with it, and without it helping you. And that's the only, we only have two options. If education cannot make you succeed, your talent can make you succeed. But now, if not, your talents is not, you have no other way to get support so that your talent to make you succeed now, it will be a challenge. So you will end up, both sides, it's like the door is being shut. So you just be there and wait what maybe life brings towards you. If that is what is meant for you now, yeah, that is what you can.
Paul, thank you for sharing your experience. It's inspiring to hear that the impactful work you are doing. It's like art can transform lives, right? Like in a space where that maybe if the education doesn't help you, maybe the talent. So you are all ambassadors to help other refugees to nurture their talent. This question goes to Esther. Esther, how are you using art to support refugee children to learn, read, and write?
Thank you so much, Ayan, the moderator. And it's such a pleasure to be here and talk about what we are doing when it comes to the children's education and learning. So UNICEF made a research, and they found out that 9 out of 10 children in Africa cannot read, write, and do a basic math equation. That's very bad. Is it or it's good? It is very bad. 9 out of 10 children out below 10 years old. Literally, that means only one child can read something. Only one child out of 10 can actually write something and understand it. So when we talk about children, I always want to define who children are. And in my perspective, I don't like the refugee children. They're just children. Children. Young humans being below the age of 10 or the age of puberty. They are just young humans coming up. So why do we have to give them that identity? And as I had told you before, I work with a book drive store. So just a short story about the book drive store. It's a literacy comprehensive company for children, and we aim at creating a reading culture in children and a love for books. Reading culture, love for books. How do we do this? We author children's books. We make sure the books are authentic and African relatable. We make sure when an African child is reading this book, they see themselves in the book. Simon, could you help me with my presentation? Okay. So I am just going to give you a little bit of what we do. I think when the presentation is ready, you'll be able to see it there. So we write children's books. We make sure the children are able to see themselves in the book. They're able to be encouraged and love books. They want to be the change that they want in their societies. So how am I using art, or how is the book drive store using art to make sure the refugee children, or just the children, learn, read, and understand? So I just have a few points. What we do as a book drive store is that we use illustrated, well-illustrated books for the children. So research has said that when kids see things, it is very hard for them to forget. So when you see such kind of books, or a child sees this, what comes to their mind is they see a doctor, they see somebody trying to think about something, and then they see a black young girl. Black hair, beautiful eyelashes, big eyes, just African. The skin is dark, so just African. She relates to the book immediately. The next page. Akello, it's a Ugandan name. So if somebody is called Akello, they literally say, now this is my story. She buys the story, she relates to it. Then here, tell me why a child shouldn't learn when we have such kind of illustrated books. It's easier for a child to learn about something like this because the book is well illustrated. They're able to see what they're learning, and the words are bigger, so it's easier for the child to be so curious and say, so what is she talking about? What do they have there? So it becomes so easy even for the children in the camps to relate to the books, to fall in love with reading, because I've been to the camp once, to Chaka, Chaka too, and you find that schools have libraries, but these libraries have been turned into something else. Maybe they'll be doing baking behind their books. So books are not being utilized. Why aren't they being utilized? It's simply because children are not being called to read such kind of materials. Children are not being encouraged to come and use these kind of things to actually learn how to read and write. And most of the things in the library, you find that they are Western books, they see a white kid, and then it becomes too hard for a black child to relate to what a white kid is doing. But if these kind of things are there, and that's why me and my colleague at the book drive store, we say we are here to change the Disney world. We are disrupting their market. So because we want the African kids to see this and be like, yeah, I am African, proud African, no matter the background. I grew up in Uganda, but yes, I am African, and I want to read, and I want to learn, and I want to change my community. So that is one way on how we are using art to actually make sure the children are able to learn, read, and write. The other thing about the illustrations, these illustrations are being made by young people, not just professionals. What we do as the Book Tribe Store is that we will get a professional. We get young people, because in Kampala we have been able to work with urban refugees, especially in Zambia community down there, where we get these young girls, young boys, teach them about how to illustrate a book. So they become the creative writers that we want to see. They write their own stories, they illustrate their own story, so that when a fellow young person is going to read the book, the other one will be so happy that I did the illustration and somebody is able to read, understand, simply because I did the illustration. We are trying to encourage these people. And I think the other thing that we are trying to do in making sure that the children are able to read, learn, and understand is we use art-based learning activities. When I was introducing myself, I said I am a Montessori teacher. And mainly in Montessori learning, we have a blackboard, but we don't use a blackboard. So in Montessori learning, we only use play-based method. So there is a quote by Benjamin Franklin, and it says, "Tell me and I forget. Teach me and I remember. Involve me and I learn." So when you want to understand the meaning of learn, it's simply, in other words, it's understand. So what is understanding? It simply means I now know the logic that it takes for me to get this. So if we are doing a calculation and it's 1 plus 2, I may tell the child 1 plus 2 is just 3. So they may or may not remember at the end of the day. But if we sit down, we get small papers, we get some blocks, and we're like, now we're going to count, this is 1. And then when we add, you simply have to get from this box, put in this other one, put in this other one, and then you now count the 3 of them. Now the answer is 3. Won't a child remember? And they now know the logic behind getting the 3. So it's not just getting the 3. What we use this thing that children are able to touch. So on that, we have a production center. So we produce literacy toys where children are able to learn from the toys, from the wooden toys, wooden alphabetical letters, wooden numeracy numbers, where children are able to touch and do the calculation, and all that is art. When somebody sits down and design these alphabet letters on a big plywood, and then someone else comes and cut them, it's all art in action. So I think we are using the art to make sure that every child down in their community is able to have access to this thing. Even when they don't have enough resources in their communities, they're actually able to have access to them, because then we even use local materials to make sure that teachers and educators in the areas, they also know how to use them, so the children can actually learn how to read and write. And the other one is that we use the storytelling art. So storytelling is mainly a child telling their story. Like, I know there are a lot of storytellers. There is Julius, he talked about storytelling, and a lot of people have talked about storytelling. But how are we using storytelling for the children to be able to actually tell their stories? So what we do is we create book clubs in the communities, in the schools, in the libraries, and of recent we are in the process of trying to actually come up with a community library in one of the refugee camps with Finchurch Aid. So in this one, we are going to use the power of storytelling, where children are able to sit down and tell their stories. So we inspire them to tell the stories. When a child reads about Akelo and they're like, yeah, Akelo is just a Ugandan, she wants to be a doctor, she knows what it means to be a doctor. So when a child sits down and tell their stories, we write it down. We make sure that this child is going to go to another library, see their same book, their own story, and like, be happy that they participated in the whole process of making the book. So in short, that is what we are trying to do to make sure that every child, not just the refugees, like just every child, every young human being is able to read, learn, and write by the age of 10 years old. Thank you.
Thank you, Esther, for sharing that. It's wonderful to see how art literacy can integrate to education. It makes the learning more effective, as she said, and more engaging. It's an innovative method. Keep it up. And the other, I don't think I have other questions, but I give you one question. And one advice for this question goes to all of you. And we will be wrapping our session. The question: what advice will you give to young refugees who are interested in pursuing a career at using for advocacy?
With my experience working with refugees, I've seen and I've witnessed a lot. One of the ways that we can make our voice to be heard is art. Because it is within my field, I've been, for those who are aware, I've been in the movie field. Many people knew me in the movie field. I've been in poetry and so on. But one of the things that we can make to be heard for the generation to come, as Mandela said, the future of this continent is in the hands of young people. And once these young people are given opportunities, they will take this Africa to its destiny. And now, the art we are doing, if we don't do it in a correct way, it happens to do not be effective or effective. I will take this example in Nachiva Refugee Settlement in Uganda. Yaren has been trying to promote one of the work of women, and this through handcrafts. Through handcrafts, they try to share cultural work. The flags, you see, by the art, very many people can buy your art through what? The flag of Uganda. Someone can buy it, the flag of your country. But a community without a culture is nothing. If we are the refugees and we can forget our culture, which means we are forgetting our foundation. In order to advocate and really live the life we want for the better Africa we want, let us stand and use the tools we have. It's like somebody has said, I've been in Germany. But if you are taken to Germany, after coming to Germany, what will you do in your community? What will you do? Because we have been into conferences, we have been so far and here and there. But what is done? One of the things that should be done is that the organizations that are supporting refugees should really trust the refugees and give them direct support. Because we are advocating much, even if we advocate, if you are not funded, which means very many people are still there because there is unemployment that is still very high within the refugee areas. But if these things are addressed, I think the level of complainers, the level of social negative behavior we are seeing in the refugee areas will reduce. Even the conflict that we are talking about, like manipulation, what we are seeing around the same in the regions, will reduce. The movement we are seeing in the region will reduce. But another big thing and a challenge, it's about travel documents. Refugees should be enabled to have access also to travel freely. Because some of us, whenever you travel, you hear the word refugee are stateless. While you hold cities, you hold documents. And this should be given in a value. The people that are really advocating it to high level, I think here as young people, we are trying to voice so that you who are going beyond where we can reach can take this voice, because we are the young leaders from the communities. And second, as I conclude in short, is that the refugees we are today, we are not the one who are going to do all tomorrow. We are trying to shape the generation to come. And if we are shaping the generation to come, there is a networking. There is a way to build spaces that have not been managed by refugees in different opportunities. It's like we say, we build a youth center, but those youth centers are not managed, are not really led by refugees. And if they are led by refugees, those people are taken and they are put there. And those people cannot decide. If today, the donors, the founders, the organization, we are today the leaders, we accept that we are going to invest into young people. Let us hear from those young people what they want and take them to the lead. If it is entrepreneurship, like what we do, through AYAN, we've been trained, and we are trying to train young people, youth in Uganda, Kampala, and the Nachiva Refugee Settlement. One or three things that we can do being self-starter. Be unique. We have to be unique as young people. Be proactive, innovative, and creative. And second, being future-oriented. If we are not being future-oriented, we shall be there coming and going back. What comes next? And also start to learn how to overcome the barriers. If I said we have been with Simon in one of the continental meetings, and what we have been talking about was the role of young people for durable solution in Africa. Now, if the rules to speak only, not taking actions, we couldn't have been here. Which means Simon has taken it to its level. The role of young people. The role of young people is to create the impact that it's needed to give young people the space where they can voice and give them the power to own what they deserve as young people. If something is given to them but they don't own, they cannot talk, they cannot really feel that ownership, which means we still mess something of those young people we are talking about. In advocacy, as we stand to see the bright future leaders of refugees, as we have seen and we have witnessed here, I believe that out of this space, whatever we do, the networking, mentorship, and workshops that we have gained, wherever we have gained, please let us go and duplicate them, put on them down into promoting the SDGs, or what you're doing, promote the SDGs, the agenda that you hold, and see what impact it will result into your community. And the impact will speak on your behalf. The impact will speak on your behalf. Let us create the innovation that we can and leave the world to really judge what we do. Not judge ourselves, but let the world judge what we do. And I believe that through Ayan, we can say that this shouldn't be the last. Let us have maybe next time another summit that will be well organized, have a ground of people that will do not of only this short time, but have workshops that we are going to gather very many young people and have at least some paperwork that can be delivered to policymakers that will really feel the anger of young people when it comes to some solution that we have been taken to and we did not joy from. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was so inspiring. Motivation. Actually, it shows you that you don't have to feel pitiful that you are a refugee. I'll just sit around or I won't go and take action. What you has to be needed is consistency. Try to approach an organization. Try to approach other refugee levels. It's a Somali saying called "Farkeliget fol madakdo." It means one person can change something. As a refugees, we are refugees from all over the places. And like from Uganda, Somalia, Rwanda, Congo, everywhere. We should actually come together, all hands, in order for us to come with a durable solution. Thank you. Esther, please, what advice will you give to the young refugees who want to pursue an art for advocacy?
All right, thank you so much. I think I'll have one advice. For people who read the Bible, there's actually a verse that says, two are better than one, because when one falls, the other one will lift up the person who fell down. So I feel like we should embrace the power of networking for young people. If the book tribe store or I am where I am right now, it's simply because I embraced the power of networking. I decided to go out there and see people that are doing amazing things and then walking straight to them and saying, you know what, I admire what you're doing, how could you work together? Simply. But the other problem is that we young people, of course, we will not do something that has never been done in the world, but we just want to be like, this is my thing, this is my thing. No, sometimes you have to let go that pride of this is my thing and say, you know what, I see Papshe doing amazing things, but okay, Papshe, how do we work together? Because now we create a whole big synergy. When we come together as 2 or 3 people working in the same thing. So there are amazing teachers. I had, like, when people are doing introduction, I got, I think, 2 people who are doing great things in education, and I want to reach out to you. There is my friend there doing something in AI, and then there is another teacher. Where is she? Yeah, there in front. So I wrote down their contacts, so I'm like, these are amazing people doing exactly what we are doing. So what if we bring the energy together? Do you know what we could change in the world? So I think that would be amazing. And I would want to thank Ayan for bringing us all here together, because now this is a big opportunity. It's so huge that we should not go back home the way we came. I don't want to go back to the Pearl of Africa and be like, I was in Nairobi, that's it. No, I want to go back to the Pearl of Africa and say, I was able to meet Didier. I met somebody who is doing storytelling. So how do we work together to bring out the children's story and making sure we inspire them? So embrace the power of networking and reach out to people. Thank you.
Thank you, Esther. Before I give the opportunity to our audience, maybe they have questions. I'll throw the ball to your side. Maybe 1 to 2 questions, please.
Wasn't this a great conversation? How many pages have I written down right now? There are many, and I've taken a lot of points. And I couldn't help but wonder, I knew I had to have a question, because the great wisdom and the knowledge that was exuded by these people, it's invaluable. We're talking about youth, right? All of us. And this question is directed to Adonis, but not limited to the rest of the panelists. You're talking about the changes that are needed to be made in the humanitarian space, and to include young people in the art and creative industry. We've all seen what Victor is doing in Uganda. We've all seen the photos. He is doing great things. Just like Simon started here early on, he said that we are leaders. And I couldn't help but wonder, the leadership now. We know that a lot of refugees back there, this is just a strata of the people who are determined to bring change. There are a lot who are still in the dark. They don't have, they have not really recognized their potential, and most of us have RLOs, right? They're just startups. But they can't move because no one really sees the idea, no one really sees the good or the positivity that comes with it. It's mostly just a statement, but even if you provide the proof of concept, nothing works in that, because you cannot include them. Even though you really want to include them, you mobilize all of them, but at the end of the day, it just falls short. That is a true challenge, even amongst refugees themselves. They cannot believe in themselves. And I was wondering, how do we go about that? Because now we can have great ideas to change our communities, to bring change to our communities, but what if you cannot convince your immediate neighbor? Just like you said, your neighbor is your first family. What if your first family does not believe into the same idea that you have? That is a question, and I hope I do trust that we'll find a good answer. Thank you.
A trust might not come to people that you want you to trust, but you trust yourself that you will trust somebody. Because if the change cannot come from you, whom do you want to give you that change? In the refugee spaces, we have given opportunities to people to divide us. We ourselves, we have given people opportunity to divide us. It's like we do duplicates. Instead of saying, I'll not do what brother is doing, let me bring an innovation that my brother will support me, I start doing the same. This is one of the mistakes that is done in the refugee camps the most. And even the loans will fail to help, because the way you come, you are doing the same thing, you are copy pasting. Even documentation, you find they are the same. Even the vision, you find people, they are fight here and so as you said, there is a climate of looking how really we as young people can trust ourselves what we are looking. Try to innovate. The innovations are never been the same. When we talk innovation, it means that I'm doing something different to you that you can still feel you are able to support or you are interested in. But if we continue to do the same things, it's where I said, let us read the material that will help us. Let us really be educated. Because young people, sometimes we need money. We don't need it to work. And when we work, whatever we do, because even in Africa, we don't have philanthropists. We only have people who are caregivers. We give. Even you are a poor man, you are giving to a community. And sometimes you sacrifice what you want because you are looking to do what? To earn money. But in big way, let us be innovative, guys. Let us be what? Innovative. Do different out of others. If you do the same things as others are doing them, we shall fight. Because what I'm seeing you doing, it's the same that I started. I'm working on water. Instead of you bring at least water filters, you're also working at the same advocacy, and you are not accepting us to collaborate. What do you look? What are you looking for? Accept that we can be creative and innovative and accept to work together. That will be the change. But if we are not creative and innovative, we shall always fight because we are duplicating the same things in the same place, in the same area. Even the environment will even refuse us. That's one of the things I would say. And we shall complain about the leaders. We are the leaders. Let us lead by examples. Thank you.
Thank you. What he has said, I think also to answer your question is that if we are looking at the policy makers to help us, we should be able to understand on which decisions do they really stand on. So when we know that they are focusing on this thing, instead of now saying, no, we are going to go out, protest because they're not doing this. No, let us go to them, sit down and say, you know, we know you're working on these things, but how can we be of help? How can we, the young people, help you? We have this kind of innovation, but how do we help you? Because we know at the end of the day, they will make the decision. So it's better that we have them on our side rather than having them as our rivals. Thank you.